Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome everybody, Luxury Fridays. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You're in the right place if you're looking to work smarter, not harder. During this perhaps turbulent market that we're going into, nobody knows, but at the end of the day, life is really what drives real estate. It doesn't matter what the interest rates are. Sure, does that create momentum or downward pressure? It absolutely can, but life is what drives real estate. I just saw an article today. A year ago, rates were 3%. Today, they're at 7%. That's the only negative of buying a home today. The positives are you're going to get a better deal. You're not going to be forced into buying a home you don't like. You're not going to be in a multiple 10, 20 offer situation. So the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and you can always refinance in 6 months or a year. Again, if you guys are getting value, we're doing these trainings. We're bringing our guest on absolutely free. All that we ask is don't keep us a secret if you get value from this. My guest is down in Miami, and I had him on I believe our 63rd podcast, which literally we are just releasing our 200 and I think 10th. We didn't put it on our whiteboard, but I think it's our 210th episode is being released. And this was our 63rd podcast. So from time to time, we'll bring on a previous podcast guest and be like, hey, what is new with you? What is going on? And that's what we have today. We're really excited. Again, those that are listening to our podcast, we appreciate you. If you have any suggestions on guests, on topics that we haven't covered, please, by all means, let us know. And if you have a suggestion as far as a guest, by all means, shoot me an email. That's the best way for you to probably get in touch with me. Shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, or type in, if you're watching our live stream, type in who that guest should be, and we'd be happy to get them on and jump on a call with them to see if they'd be a great fit. All right, I'm bringing Amit on from Miami. Amit, welcome. You there?
Yep, I'm here. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you. You've been a guest on our podcast, and you actually you were on a panel at our luxury designation event that we had in early 2022 that the Miami Association of Realtors had us down for. It was a rock star panel we had, and you were on that as well. So thank you and welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
So tell us tell everybody a little bit about you and when you got licensed and when you broke into luxury, and we'll talk about how you broke into luxury on today's episode.
Yeah, so I've been a real estate agent. This is my 18th year, 18 and a half years. For about 11 or 12 years, I was a single agent, just failing. Just as agents, we get marketed daily, and we think there's a secret sauce to doing things, and we do things that are successful for other people, but sometimes it doesn't meet our personality, but we try it anyways because we think in the beginning we have excuses. Oh, that person's been in the business a long time or whatever, or just a million different excuses. And I discovered content creation, and from there I was able to get into luxury, and for the last 6-7 years been able to do that. So it's been great.
So last 6-7 years you've been able to, would you say you focus on luxury, or no, you work all price points, but you're definitely, working the luxury day in and day out?
Yeah, so good question. So I have a team, there's 5 of us. And last year we did some, I'll just give you an idea of the scope. We did a rental for $1,500 and we did one for $120,000 a month. We did sales for $150, and then we did many, many millions. So we do about 80% luxury and 20% everything.
$150,000 a month rental. Was that for a year or for a short time period? And what's the co-op look like on something like that?
So that was 120,000 a month. That was a single family home. That was a short term lease. We did a 80,000 a month lease for long term. We put in an offer recently for a 65,000 a month, annual lease. So a lot of people are moving to Miami, and because of tax savings and many other reasons. So because the tightened inventory, not everyone can find a home. So they want to get their residency here. So that's the way they're doing it.
Interesting, interesting. So yeah, we have a shortage of properties as well here in the Chicagoland market. We're trying to match make off-market properties with active buyers. Last week I showed a $6.5 million, 27,000 square foot home in our market, had an indoor basketball court, NBA regulation, indoor outdoor pool, and that was an off-market as well. Um, so before I tell everybody and we discuss how you broke into luxury, any tips and suggestions while we're talking about off-market properties? What would you mind sharing? Maybe a tip on how you've been able to get in touch with some of these off-market sellers?
Yeah, so I think there are two different steps. One step is to find out who sell the agents that sell in that neighborhood, right? And because if someone sells quite a bit there, there's a chance they may have a listing that's coming on the market or not on the market yet. So befriending those agents in a genuine way, if you see that person's doing a broker's open or whatever, just tell them, kind things about them. Don't fake it, but just tell them, hey, that deal that you had, that home at so and so avenue, I love how you showed that kitchen of the home. Just show specific things so they know that you're not making it up, right? And be genuine about it. So the first thing is getting that idea of who sells there. And then the next thing you can find out, every area is different as far as when people move. But if you look on the list of homeowners that have been there for a while, or maybe it's a second home or third home for them, maybe it's worth reaching out to them. And it's like it would be there's many different ways, but one way could be, hey, Michael, I know you're probably not looking to sell your home because of the changes in the economy and the market and stuff. A lot of people want to get an idea of what their home is worth. Would you like me to do a competitive market analysis for you? And if you do that, you're coming from contribution. If you come from contribution, a lot of times, sometimes they'll say, "Hey, actually, I was thinking about selling my house," and so it's just fishing more than anything in a
Hmm.
genuine, nice way.
Yeah, yeah. You bring up compliments. I'm really impressed with how many agents over the last 2 years, 2.5 years, you know, the scarcity mindset has dissipated from many agents. Many agents, you're Compass, I'm not Compass, right? So many agents think, well, can only collaborate with Compass agents, or I can only collaborate with Sotheby's or Coldwell Banker, fill in the blank. And you can befriend and you can share best practices, with outsiders, if you will, outside your brokerage, because like you said, you just don't know. And we're consistently. I had a Remax agent just recently say, hey, could I borrow your listing for a photo shoot? We're trying to update our headshot. So you just don't know. uh, it's a small world. It's a small sandbox. Play nice with everybody, because you might come across that person on another transaction. So really great advice. Appreciate that. Again, if you guys have questions, you're watching Luxury Fridays, you're listening to our podcast as well right now, and we have a great guest on, Amit Bhuta. He's with Compass. He's out of Southern Florida, and he was our 63rd podcast, and we wanted to re-engage him to kind of see where are things at since then. And one of the things that you shared on your original podcast was how you broke into luxury. And so that's what I want to cover a little bit right now. Tell everybody one of the things that you did when you were breaking into luxury and what you consistently were doing.
Yeah, so like the first thing is, as an agent, when we're not selling luxury, we get intimidated a little bit, whether we admit it to others about these expensive homes, these wealthy sellers and buyers, and we feel uncomfortable with it. So the first thing is getting confidence. Just, whether you share the confidence or not, but you want to get the confidence. And how do you get that? You get it by knowing the market. You study the market. And more than that, you go to these expensive homes. because you don't want to be wowed when you're showing a customer a property and be like a kid in a candy store, for the first time. You want to be confident, you want to seem like you're familiar with these type of properties. So you have to start going to these things. Another thing is, depending on how long you've done real estate, if your clients or friends or sphere don't know that you sell luxury, because I sold regular properties for like 11 years, and so then why would they want to call me for an expensive property? So after knowing the market, I started going to brokers opens, and I got there early with so say it's at 1 o'clock, I got there like at 12:55, 12:50, while the agent was setting up. And I asked them, I said, I get a lot of my business from my social media. Is it okay if I share your property with my people online? And they'll say yes or no. And I said, I'll give you credit for, the property, but it'd be helpful, I think, for both of us if we do this. And while I was at the property, I would create a library. I would take photos of cool kitchens, bathrooms, just things that were nice. And then I would go live there. So if it was Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, however you do it, you would just say, I would go a day before, and whether it's Facebook or whatever the platform is, I'd say, hey, I'm going to be looking at a $25 million waterfront property in Miami Beach tomorrow. Who would be interested in seeing it at around 12 o'clock? I'd gauge who's interested in it. So first, I'm planting the seed that I actually show properties like this so that I belong in that category. And then I'd say, hopefully the internet is good there in case there's an issue. I'm sorry if I can't do that. And I did that for two reasons. One, in case the internet did suck, or two, if the agent said, no, you can't show it, so I had it out. And I would create the audience, and I would do that. I would do that over and over. And then I had these library of photos of cool places. And then I would post those randomly. Like, I really love this kitchen in South Beach. It was this, and this, and whatever. And that helped me quite a bit.
That's great. So you were consistently doing it. Now, did you do it in different parts of the areas that you serve? Did you step out of your comfort zone and do attend some of these open houses in areas that you had never sold, but you had hoped? Tell me a little bit about what went into that.
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, it was like before that, I would sell a luxury property every once in a while, but not very often. It was like definitely the exception to the rule, only like 5 or 10%. But yeah, it was like creating your farming, right? I wanted to get different areas that I wanted to. The last thing you want to do is get a call from a customer that wants to buy somewhere and you're not excited about driving there or going there. So I first found areas that I was excited about, right? Whether they were very far or very close, just things that got my interest, so I would be excited about it. And then I started going to these places. What it did, besides the audience, is these other agents that were in luxury, because I went there early. We started creating relationships. So all of a sudden, I belonged within these luxury agents, their sphere, and they liked me. I mean, not everyone does, but if you're nice to people and you compliment them in a genuine way, if it really is a compliment, that you're going to create friendships, and it helped a whole lot.
Yeah, no, it does help a whole lot. Literally yesterday, I saw a video of an agent of a property, and it was a beautiful property. And I just out of the blue, just like, hey, you did a great job presenting this property, great video. So we're, rising tides lift ships, right? So it's like, hey, raise the bar for the industry, and that's why we do these live streams, right? We're bringing in guests from all over the world and different brokerages, different niches, different subject matter experts with the goal of raising the bar in real estate, raising the bar in luxury real estate. So,
Can
uh,
I interrupt you a second?
yes,
I
please.
wanted to give a pro tip to people because this helped me quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what I did is, so these agents that I wanted to be friends with, whether it's in my area or out of town, I would set up a Google notification, a Google alert. Say I'm doing Michael, and then I put in your information, Chicago, and all this. Every time you did something substantial, I would see it, right? I would get a notification. So what I would do then is I would look to see if you posted it, right? So if Michael didn't post it on his social media platforms, I would post the story. I would say, "Hey Michael, congratulations on selling that $6.5 million home with that indoor basketball court." And I would tag you on it. So all of a sudden your people saw that you did something substantial. And I'm not just this guy in Miami. I'm this guy that is trying to like share your successes, and then a relationship is created. I didn't ask for anything. All I did was share.
Yeah, reciprocity, right? When someone does good by you, naturally, someone opens the door for you, you want to open the door for the next person.
Yeah,
You're at Starbucks and someone pays it forward and pays for your drink, the car before you pays, you kind of feel like, oh man, maybe I should do that, or you're made aware of it. So by you giving genuine compliments, by you setting up Google alerts and complimenting people, you know, naturally, hopefully at some point, you become top of mind awareness, and maybe they want to return the favor. Or you mentioned earlier, off market properties. So if you call one of those agents and you were sincere and you were genuine and you attended the broker open and you build a relationship and you said, hey, I have somebody looking in the Ravenswood neighborhood. If you have anything coming on, I know you've sold in this area before. You get a better response, right?
totally.
That's great. So what are you seeing down by you now? I'm going to be coming down by in the Miami market in Coral Gables and at the Biltmore, and I'm going to be doing the training at Miami headquarters on November 9th. What are you seeing personally, your team seeing in your market? And before we do that, I just got a question real quick from somebody that asked me a question about Houston, about my big event in Houston. So again, just a reminder, I'm coming down to Houston in 25 days for our full day designation training. And somebody has our Lux and they said they already have it. Great. Can you come for a refresher? Absolutely. If you recall, there's a annual renewal. So depending on when your expiration date is, you can come and audit for a refresher and you can get your renewal at that Houston event. So that's a great question. That just came through, so I want to make sure I answered that. So Amit, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your market right now.
Yeah, our market is very different than a lot of parts of the country. So, because interest rates have changed so much, and like you said, you saw something for 3% last year, 7% now. So, our properties a million or more, 60% of those transactions are still paid in cash. Below $1 million, 1/3 are paid in cash. So the market below a million is way more affected. And the reason why our million plus is so much cash is people move to Florida because they save on state tax, right? So they're moving here still because I've had customers that told me that they save 1,000 a day by living here. So even the ones that are financing, that 40% that are financing, they're still saving a substantial amount of money by living here because of the taxes. So our market, below a million, a lot of times, 6, 7, 8, 900,000, those people are moving because they want to move, not because they have to move. So they maybe have a house and maybe their family's growing, or maybe they just want something better. So they're taking a little bit longer because, everyone has FOMO. They're like, I could have done this last year and now it's a lot more. It's 30% more, whatever it works out to. So yeah, that's what we're seeing here. It's still, luxury is still relatively busy, but below that is less.
And obviously, I've had Teresa Kenny on. I'm pretty familiar with the Miami market, but for those that maybe aren't, talk to us about your feeder markets. Where are you seeing, if you were to say your top 5 areas in South Florida, where are you seeing people moving from? Like, I'm specifically out of state. Where are you seeing, where are your feeder states primarily, Amit?
Yeah, so great question. So I'll tell you that in 1 second. But for those of you that live in a relatively big area, there's a tool on Redfin. It's called a Redfin migration tool. So if you go there and if you check that Redfin migration tool and you put your area, you can see where people around the country are looking from. They're doing searches. So you could see where, so if, for example, since Michael, you're in Chicago, I'd put like Chicago, and then it can say where people are doing the searches from, and it'll give you the breakdown of it. So for our team, it's funny because this changed after COVID. 60% of our transactions are from people from California. That was never the case in the past. So about 60% are California, about 10 or 15% are the Northeast. We also do get a lot of people from Chicago as well. And then the rest are local in Miami. It's harder for someone in Miami to buy a property because in many areas things have doubled in price. So living here, growing up here, they don't want to bite the bullet, but people around the country still see our market as relatively inexpensive compared to other areas.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody that services Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and some of the resorts and the restaurants, their servers, their bus boys. I mean, they're driving in 50 minutes to an hour because there's no lower housing, there's no rentals. I mean, so you're seeing that in your market where you said prices in some cases have doubled. Where are the locals moving to in Miami? Are they taking advantage of selling at the peak and moving? Where are you seeing people downsize or buy something a little bit more affordable and perhaps reverse commute to the Miami area?
Yeah, so with that said, like the current homeowners that are selling,
Hmm.
they have so much equity that they're able to buy something still, because even though, say, the market went up twice, the home that they're selling did as well. So they're able to, to move in surrounding areas. I'll give you an example. We have a listing right now. It just came on the market the other day. It's $4 million. The buyer bought it right when COVID was starting for 1.7, and it's for
Wow.
4 million now. So you
Wow.
know, it's crazy how things have been going. Some people do leave Florida, and like you said, some people do go to other areas that are less expensive areas. So maybe it's a top rated neighborhood and maybe they sell their property, it's a smaller home, and they maybe go into a slightly less rated neighborhood with a bigger home and other things.
Hmm.
So that could be the case as well.
Yeah. Good. So those of you that are joining, Michael LaFido, you're watching Luxury Fridays or listening into our podcast here. Again, Amit Bhuta, he's out of Southern Florida. He broke into luxury by attending other agents' open houses, broker open houses, got their permission, consistently posted week in and week out, people seeing him at these open houses. Some people don't even listen. They don't unmute their live stream. They just see Amit at these cool properties week in and week out. And at the time, he was selling some high end, but he grew his knowledge on the product and the market, grew his confidence, and he stepped out of his comfort zone. And that's one of the things that we really hammer home for our agents as well is grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. Uh, what else would you like to add, Amit?
So I think the main thing is, for us, what worked for me and our team is you want to be different, right? You don't Every agent for the most part brags about what they're doing. Like, I sold this home in 10 minutes for 1.5 times the asking price. You don't want to do that. People don't care about that for the most part, unless there's an interesting story. Like, for example, the property that you told about in the with the indoor basketball court and all this stuff, that's pretty exciting, right? But if I tell the people like how great I am, they don't really care. You have to keep in mind that probably 95% or more of the people that see our content aren't in the market at the time, right? You want them to get to like you, based on the stuff you post and when they are ready to buy. So I'll give you an example, Michael. I'm sure you've had clients that you didn't click with at all, right? Where you have different interests, where you don't think, you basically very, very you're not similar at all. And even though the transaction may have been somewhat easy, it was a little bit harder because you didn't have that much in common, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it happens with closed transactions, current listings. Um, there's definitely, that personality. It's a melting pot of personalities. Or, hey, on a social level? Do you have similar connections, or are you opposite end of the spectrum for sure?
Totally. And then you've also had people that you click with really well, right? And no matter how hard the transaction was, it was a little bit easier to handle. Have you ever had that?
Oh, for sure. Yep.
So what we want to do is we want to reverse engineer our audience so it's like that second part where they get along with us. And the way you do that is you find your passions. So for me, mental health is really big. I love tennis. I love sports cards like collectibles. I love tennis. I love doing a lot of things. I love to eat food, love to travel. So I post about those things about 80 to 90% of the time. And then about 10% of the time, I post about real estate. And when I post about real estate, it's a story. I don't have to be the hero. The customer is the hero. I'm just the guide. So maybe I share a story about this person saving money for 6 years, missing dinners, not going out with their friends. And today is the day that their dream came true. And it was so nice to see them smile at the closing table and get the keys. When we share stories about people, when we share our passions, people that like what we speak about will become friends with us. They'll become our customers. So people will reach out to you and you click, and the transaction is much easier. And at the same time, the people that don't click won't, which is okay. We don't have to have those difficult transactions. So that's what I would say. When you post content, don't think of yourself as Michael, the ultra luxury real estate agent. You're Michael who likes to do this, that, the other, and also happens to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, that's a great point. People want to do business with someone they like and they trust, build affinity, like you mentioned, golf, tennis, whatever it might be. You might have similar connections. Parents can relate to other parents, you know, uh, baby boomers that are downsizing can relate with other baby boomers, whatever it might be. But come from a place of authenticity, right? And don't be fake. Don't be one of these agents that tells people what they want to hear. And that's what I see a lot in this industry is people being disingenuous. So, Amit, you just got such a great personality, a great demeanor about you. I appreciate that. And thank you again for being on our show.
My pleasure. I'll do my best to see you in Miami.
It'd be great. Come on out. It's always a pleasure, Amit.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And real quick, what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
Really quickly, we realized about a year and a half ago that people know Miami as Miami, but they don't know it as all the hyper local areas. So what we did is we created guides for each subdivision, see each area, neighborhood. So we have about 50 of them. We have 50 neighborhood videos. So go to miamineighborhoodguide.com. miamineighborhoodguide.com. If you go there, you don't even need to do business with me. Hopefully it helps you with the area if you're ever coming to visit Miami.
Wow, that's great. miamineighborhoodguide.com.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I just typed that in the chat feature there. Take a look at that. That's you can find out more about the Miami market, and Amit put these educational, informational videos together on the various neighborhoods. I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. We could probably have a whole show on that. So I'll check that out, and I might be circling back with you.
Awesome.
I appreciate you.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys, that was Amit. He's a great guy, and he's out of Miami. And you see how his tone, you see how he thinks a little bit different as far as coming from a place of authenticity, being authentic and genuine when you're complimenting others, bringing value. Good things will happen, right? If you do enough good things, hopefully good things will happen to you. And letting people know what you do for a living, but more importantly, letting people know what you do for fun and how you can help them. And touching base with your clients is really important. So before I had Amit on, I had a private call with an agent, and they literally were talking about how their team members are kind of buying into the doom and gloom of the media, that the market's slow, it's shifting. And she was asking, Christina was asking me, what do you recommend? And it's like, hey, you got to love on your database. You got to touch your past clients. You got to bring value to them so that if they know of anybody that is thinking about buying or selling, you're in that discussion. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you guys have any comments, the best way to do so is type in that chat feature. For those of you who are watching on my Instagram, go to Luxury Fridays, but more importantly, go to YouTube, go to Marketing Luxury Group, or type in a comment if we're connected on social media on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. Type in your comment. Some of you guys have comments or you have questions that other people perhaps have a similar question or they're in a similar situation to you, and we want to answer those for you. Again, Michael LaFido, it's my mom's birthday. I'm taking mom out to Cooper's Hawk today. Looking forward to that. So if without any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go. Make it a great Friday. Next week, the 28th of October, same time, same place. We'll be on here, Luxury Fridays. And then before you know it, I'll be down in Miami. And just a reminder, you guys can see where I'm speaking next. You can see where I'm speaking next by going to our website. And again, I'll share with you on our designation training is going to be coming up in about 24 days and 23 hours, it looks like, in Houston. But literally, if you want to see where I'm speaking next, you can go to our main website for our designation, which is luxurylistingspecialist.com. And if you go to upcoming events tab up at the top right, you'll see where I'm speaking next. So speaking at the Miami Congress event, November 6th, 7th, and 8th. Remax office is having me out. I'm speaking at Houston Association of Realtors for our Lux training. And then Lux VT is having me speak at their Success Boot Camp in December. So if you guys have any questions on any of these events, just go to Luxury Listing Specialist. You could ask me a question, be happy to answer them for you. And I appreciate everybody today. My name is Michael LaFido. Until next week, you're watching another episode of or listening to another episode of the Luxury Specialist podcast and Luxury Fridays. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. And remember, tune out the news. They want to divide. They want to be negative. They want to fear monger. They want to talk about the next strain of this, the next strain of that. What you focus on expands. Get good sleep. Watch what you're eating. Watch how much sleep you're getting. Your body's got a natural immune system. Build it up. Get healthy. Lose that COVID-15 if you've lost it or gained it, I should say. And your body has a natural defense mechanism. Work on that. That's really important. Tune out the doom and gloom. What you focus on expands. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. Until next time, you've been listening to our podcast and our Luxury Fridays. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.